Okay, good day everyone. Welcome back to another session concerning PTDF scholarship to France. I hope you guys are well. So today I'll be inviting a scholar that already received the PTDF scholarship in 2022. So he's going to be speaking to us on how to really win this scholarship, particularly if they are seeking masters in France. So I will be admitting the meeting members into this talk. Good day, everyone. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Someone should please talk if you can hear me. All right, all right. Thank you. Okay. So good day, everyone. My name is Ademola Deniki, and I hope you guys are very fine. So today we will be inviting a scholar. So you received the PTDF scholarship in 2020. So today he will be speaking to us on how to win this scholarship, particularly if you are interested in the masters in France. So today he'll be speaking to us regarding to the scholarship. So I'll try to admit people into the call. So I will just give like a brief introduction about him because we are a little bit late. So his name is Mr. Zakariyah Bako. He received his bachelor's degree in engineering, particularly petroleum engineering at the University in Abuja. So fast forward, he received the PTDF scholarship in 2022. So it gave him the opportunity to study in France for a master's in geoscience engineering specifically. So without further ado, so I will give him the platform where he's going to tell us a little bit about his background. So then we can continue on the PTDF scholarship as a whole and also how to secure an admission to the scholarship. So Mr. Bako.
Yes, good afternoon. Can you hear me? Or rather, good evening from our time in here. Can you hear me?
We can hear you, sir.
Yes, we can.
All right, thank you very much. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this session where we'll be talking about the PTDF France scholarship, particularly the MSc scholarship, the Master's Degree Scholarship.
Muted.
Uh, so, as
Oh, can you hear me?
Ademola has introduced me, my name is Zakariyah Bako. I have a first degree in petroleum and gas engineering from the University of Nigeria, and I have my master's degree from the IFP school in France, which I was privileged to have studied at as a result of securing the PTDF scholarship. So, and as we all generally know, or as we all know, the PTDF scholarship is the current admission, the current application window is open, and it's going to be open till May 28th. So, and as scholars that we are, it's good we take advantage of the application window that is open now to put in our applications and hopefully secure scholarships that can be life changing. So I'll just dive into it. So for the PTDF scholarship, unlike other scholarships, what on the other scholarships where maybe you're required to meet up an institution's requirements, PTDF scholarship is more of meeting up with the requirement that has been put out by PTDF as a body. And the mandate of PTDF as a body is to generate capacity or create indigenous capacity for the Nigerian oil and gas industry, particularly. So that's it. That's just what it's about. It's about creating capacity, building those that can go into the workforce and make an impact in the Nigerian oil and gas industry. So that's the mandate of PTDF as a body. And then as an applicant, what you need to try to do is just to meet up with this mandate and trying to show why or how you connect yourself to this mandate of PTDF. And by doing that, you stand a good chance of securing the scholarship. So I'll just walk us through the requirements. For the master's degree scholarship, the requirements are as follows. You need your degree certificate or your statement of results. You need that. And for that, you need to have either a 2-1, minimum of a 2-1, that's the second class upper and a first class, or you have a second class lower, a 2-2, with valid industry experience. So that's that. Then you need your NIN. You need to have a valid NIN, a valid NIN. That's the NIN slip, which has your NIN number on it. So you need that. Then also you need to have your NYC certificate. Unfortunately, the PTDF scholarship is only open to those who have served either by having the exemption certificate or the discharge certificate. So the scholarship is only open to them. Then also you would need your O level results, which is your WAEC, your GCE, or your NECO results. You would need that. And then also you would need a statement of purpose with a maximum of 500 words. So I believe the other requirements, such as the degree certificate, the NIN, the NYC certificate, and the O level results, I believe they speak for themselves. You just need to have a scanned copy of these documents such that you can upload it on the PTDF application site when you are making your application. So I'm up next. That I want to talk about is the key to securing the scholarship, which I already briefly mentioned before. So the main key really is that SOP. That SOP is one of the most important things one of the most important requirements you have to fulfill. So if you can nail your SOP perfectly, or if you can nail it well, then you stand a good chance of securing the scholarship. And what the PTDF body wants to see in your SOP is for you to link your intended course of study to the PTDF's mandate. And like I mentioned, PTDF's mandate or objective is developing local capacity for the oil and gas industry in Nigeria. So I'll just use myself as an example. My first degree was in petroleum and gas engineering, and my master's degree is in reservoir geoscience and engineering. So when I was crafting my SOP for the PTDF scholarship, what I leveraged on was my first degree as a petroleum and gas engineering student, as at that time, or back then in 2022 when I applied. So my or what I used as my selling point was just to show how I wanted to undergo a master's degree in reservoir geoscience and engineering with the future objective of becoming a reservoir engineer who would then come back to play his role in the Nigerian oil and gas industry by joining the workforce and coming up with new ideas and trying to solve new problems day by day. So that's just an example of how I was able to link my own my own intended course of study to the PTDF mandate. So, and it's important you do this because PTDF will only give you the scholarship if you show that you are able to or you intend to add value to the Nigerian oil and gas industry that needs to be clear in your SOP. So that cannot be doubted. It needs to be clear in your SOP. So uh, that's it. And after writing your SOP, having your documents together, and then you submit, of course, within the deadline. For France, for example, so the PTDF scholarship, usually it's like two scholarships that run together. There's the UK scholarship, and then there's the GFM scholarship, the Germany, France, and Malaysia scholarship. So for the UK scholarship, you can only apply to schools in the UK for MSc, and then PTDF has a list of approved schools and approved courses that you need to comply with. While for GFM, Germany, France, and Malaysia, you are free to move to choose your course and also move freely within those three countries. And what I mean by that is that PDF expects you to have a choice of three schools and three courses too. So if you want, the courses can be the same, but of course the schools can't be the same. You need to make a different choice of schools. Yeah. So in making that choice, you are free to choose between any of the schools in Germany, France, or Malaysia. But if, for instance, your intention or your interest is to go to France, you could easily just have your first three choices or your three choices that you are given, the schools in France, and then for each of those schools, you do your research and then you select programs in each of those schools. So I think that's that. Then for the interview is they invite for the interview they send out invites according to states. So I don't know the exact number, but I know on the final list that comes out is usually 5 candidates from each state that they pick. So you are basically your competition for the PTS scholarship is people that you are from the same state of origin with. So that's basically your competition for the PTDF scholarship. So if you look at it, maybe in a pool, we are looking at maybe 100 applicants from each state. That leaves you with about 99 other people to compete with. The number is just a sample size I'm giving. I can't pinpoint that how large the applications they receive is. I'm just giving an example with the number. So, and there's also is marks that are allotted for these requirements that you meet up with. So your degree certificate, for example, if it's a first class, it would have more marks than if it's a 2-1. So the class of degree also matters, but that's not to rule anyone out. Whether you have a 2-1, a 2-2, or a first class, the PTF scholarship is still valid for you. You can still get it. So after getting after going through the application phase, so those that pass the application phase will then be invited for the interview. And the interview, I think there are about 4 or 5 states that they use for the interview. I think Oyo States, that's Ibadan, is one of them. Abuja at the PTDF tours is one of them. I think Port Harcourt is one of them. I'm not sure if Kaduna is. And at a point too, they used to have a virtual option, which I'm not sure if they are going to have that choice this year or not. But the best advice I can give is just choose a center that is close to you so that you don't have to travel far when you're going for your interview. Fortunately, in my case, when I interviewed in 2022, due to work commitments, I opted for a virtual interview, and thankfully, I was able to have the interview and successfully secure the scholarship. So I'll be moving on to the interview now. So for the interview, one of the things you have to note is that you need to be prepared to expand further on the SOP that you've written. So, and like I said, in your SOP, what they want to see is what is your intended course of study and what impact your intended course of study is going to have on the oil and gas industry in Nigeria. Like basically what that means is, as a candidate, how are you planning to utilize the knowledge you gain from your course of study to make an impact on the oil and gas industry in Nigeria? So that is what it's about, and that is what you need to prepare your SOP to do. It needs to speak to that. It needs to be concise, because you only have 500 words to work with, and it's always good you stay within the word limit that you have. So you need to speak to that. You need to be precise and concise about it as well. Then for the interview, you should be prepared for different questions. And one of the questions that you could be asked is, like I mentioned earlier, about your proposed course of study and your school of study. They would want to ask, okay, what choices guided or what motivations guided that choice that you made to choose a particular school or to choose a particular field of study. So those are things that they would want to ask. Then also they could want to possibly ask you some technical questions in your field. So if you say you studied petroleum and gas engineering, for example, they could want to ask you some basic questions in the area of petroleum and gas engineering. Maybe ask you things like what is porosity, what is permeability. Though these are not standard interview questions, but from my experience, the questions could really come from anywhere. So you have to be prepared. And also they could ask questions on your final year or your past projects. So like what studies have you done before, and how has that impacted you, and how has that enabled you to grow as an individual? So those are also things they could ask as part of the interview. Then also of note is the future plan. They would ask about your future plan, vis-a-vis how you plan to make an impact on the industry when you come back from your study. If you do come back from your study, because at the point at the time it used to be compulsory to come back, but I have friends who also did this PTDF scholarship who were able to stay back at the, like, one of my colleague, for example, who I schooled with in France. He currently works in France now, and he has not had any issues. So for those who, I'm not saying you should say this in your interview, but for those who are looking at this as a route to possibly japa, as we like to say, this could also be valid. The objective, the objective, as you may want to decide, it's up to you. But make sure you sell your story well and package yourself well. So, like I mentioned earlier, for the scoring guide, there's a scoring guide that will be used in evaluating the applications. Though this scoring guide is not public, but I do have a material that a scholar in the 2018-2019 set came up with. It's a list of questions which he came up with, and based on my experience, those questions are actually a fair representation of what the possible questions you could get are. So maybe I would just later in the scholarship news group I would share a PDF of that, because I actually do have a PDF. So those could be some good sample questions you could maybe study when preparing for the interview phase. Because after applying for the scholarship and submitting all your documents, the next step is to hope that you get to the interview stage so that you can then go speak for yourself and make a case for yourself there. So then also moving on, I would like to talk about what you can expect from the scholarship in terms of what the PTDF scholarship covers. So the PTDF scholarship to France, it covers you for flight ticket, a return flight ticket. That's one going and coming back to and fro, as they say. So it covers you for your flight ticket to and fro. Then you get a monthly stipend, uh, which is actually a good amount of money that would allow you to live comfortably and also meet up with your rent and other obligations that you would have as a student in France. And as the PTDF expects, you are not actually expected to work on your scholarship, but the amount of money given is enough to cover you for the month, the stipend you get per month. So that is covered, and you do not have to worry about it. Then also you'd be getting assistance in securing the visa, but the assistance is not a full assistance, in the sense that there are still some things that you would have to cover for yourself. So for scholars that go to France, for example, there's an organization we have to register with that manages the uh, students from other countries who are studying in tertiary institutions in France, and that institution or body is called Campus France, because the scholarship that is paid to scholars in France comes to Campus France. So you have to sign up with Campus France either before you progress. Sorry, either before you secure your admission or after you secure your admission. But signing up with Campus France, it's a requirement that you have to fulfill. But this could always come after, and it's something you can meet up with at the end of or at the phase where you actually secure the scholarship. And another good thing about the PTDF scholarship is you do not need to have an admission before you secure the scholarship. Just the choice of schools and courses you make is enough to get your admission. Because for most people that get this PTDF scholarship, I would like to think most people most people don't actually go the year that they secured the scholarship. In my case, I had already secured an admission from IFP school in, let's say, in May 2022, and then I got the PTDF scholarship around August 2022 as well. So I was able to resume sometime in October in France. So that was what helped me go that same year. But for most scholars tend to receive the PTDF scholarship friends first. After being awarded the scholarship, they then do the groundwork of going to look for schools to go to or to enroll to. So that's how most scholars do it. And well, I didn't prepare a presentation material to share with you guys, but I did come with some talking points that I wanted to talk through and evaluate in my discussion with you. And to be honest, I think I've exhausted or I've talked through all the points I wanted to cover. So at this point, I would like to maybe take your questions if you have specific questions or on other areas I've not mentioned. I would welcome them at this time so that we could we could carry on the discussion further. All right, thank you. Ademola, I don't know if you would like to anchor that or moderate that for us in terms of the questions and answers.
Yeah, so in fact, I have my own first question here. So
All
my
right.
question is, what's the duration of the scholarship? For instance, in
Yes.
France, you can start you can start from M1 program. So which means
Yes.
I'll be using 2 years for my master's program. So will
Yes.
the PTDF scholarship fund me through these 2 years of my master's program?
Okay. Thank you, Ademola, for that very brilliant question. Yes. The PTDF scholarship is basically covers the length of your program. So in my case, my program was for 16 months, not up to 2 years. So my scholarship was guaranteed for that period of 16 months. So for a scholar who would go to a school where he requires to do an M1 and an M2, basically 2 years of a master's degree, he would be covered for those full 2 years. So the scholar doesn't need to worry about whether his scholarship would be covered or not. He's guaranteed coverage for the length of his program, be it 1 year or 2 years. Because
Okay.
there are some programs that do last for 1 year. Like in my school that I went to, there's a program that lasts for just 13 months or so. And for PTDF scholars who also went to that school during my year, they were covered just for that duration as well.
All right. So I think for the next question,
Yes.
no, let me just talk to the participants. If you have any question regarding the scholarship, you can unmute yourself and talk. You can just do that, or you can drop your question in the chat. But I think it's more appropriate if you speak up than putting the
Yes.
question in. Yeah.
Yes,
So
I agree with you. That would be faster.
yeah. So another question I would like to ask is
Yes.
I think you already explained it during the presentation. Okay, yes, now I remember. For the
Yes.
tuition fee, how do they pay
Yes.
the tuition fee? Because, for instance, um, like some schools in France, maybe the tuition fee is like 250 euros, while for some
Yes.
schools it could be like 4,000 euros or 5,000. So, how do they
Yes.
do this payment of tuition fee? So, yeah.
Okay. So the tuition fee, if I remember correctly, the tuition fee is covered by guarantee by Campus France. So Campus France has an agreement with PTDF, and because most of the schools PTDF scholars go to are partner universities of PTDF, so that relationship already exists. So it is not a situation where you have to have paid your tuition before you resume. So knowing that you are from PTDF and knowing and having that relationship that exists, they know that your school fees will eventually be paid. So, and I think Campus France handles that payment for PTDF. So that is how it goes. And because of that relationship that already exists, most scholars don't have any issues. I think in my case, for example, my fees were as well. I know it was more than 10,000 euros because my school is more of a private organization as opposed to a government institution, which means the fees were considerably higher, but it was still covered by PTDF.
For my next question,
Yes,
is about for this scholarship. Do you think it's appropriate to, because now, what's like the duration of this scholarship? Because during your discussion you said, okay, you don't need to already secure an admission before you apply for
yes,
this scholarship. So what's the timeline they give to scholars? Probably if I'm awarded the scholarship in August 2020, let's say 2025. So
yes.
what's the duration? What duration will they give me to secure an admission in France before probably they can say, oh, you are no more eligible for this scholarship? So, for instance,
Okay.
can I use the scholarship for a 2026 resumption in France, for instance?
Okay. Thank you very much for that question. Yes, the scholarship is valid for. This is not. This is not an official information from PTDF, but based on the based on experience from other scholars and what I know, it's valid for up to 2 years. So you can defer it for up to 2 years. Because if you once you get the scholarship and you are not able to go that first year, there's a process you go through to defer the scholarship. So you can defer it for to answer the exact question you've asked. Yes, it is valid for a scholar that got the scholarship in 2025 to resume in 2026. There's no issue with that. And that scholar could even resume in 2027. But beyond 2027, I don't think, I think the scholarship would have been gone by then. So, based on what I've observed from other scholars, which I'm not saying this is a PTDF, how do I put it? It's not something directly from PTDF, but based on experience, I know it's valid for up to 2 years.
Oh,
So,
okay.
theoretically, someone that gets it in August 2025 could still resume in September 2027.
Oh, all right. So I think that's my questions for now. If you have question in the chat or you want to speak up, I think you can unmute yourself and speak.
Yes, guys, don't be shy, please. You are the ones who will be applying to this scholarship, so you need to ask questions to gain enough clarity as much as you need.
Yeah, yeah. Because also, I think I don't know, it's just personal opinion. I think
Yes,
people mostly don't apply to all these schools like in France. A lot of people always look towards the UK and everything. So I
yeah.
think applying to France also maybe increases your chance. I don't know. So
I think you are spot on with that. I think you are spot on with that because a lot of people tend to crowd UK because of the language of instruction, which is clearly English, and of course the Nigerian factor. A lot of people here, a lot of people japa to UK, so people want to go that route because they feel it's easier. But I think in reality, it's even tougher to secure the scholarship if you're going to the UK. I think France is a bit easier to actually get.
yeah. So if you have any question, you can unmute yourself. It could be question related to the application, or maybe you have something pertaining to your own interest, or you can also ask this type of question. So
Yeah.
don't be shy to unmute. Yes.
Yeah, good evening. Thank you, Mr. Zakariyah and Mr. Ademola. Thank you very much. Please, this one is like related to me personally. I want to ask, is
Yes.
it like advisable regarding the course of study? Like from what I've read about the PTDF, I think it's oil and gas related. And
Yes, that's correct.
I studied industrial chemistry, also I have interest in oil and
Yes.
gas, right? So my question um, is there, do you think there's a cost barrier when it comes to PTDF application? Is it fair to maybe engineering guys, or it is open to us that have like courses that are not like really like into oil and gas, but like kind of close or related to oil and gas. What advice can you give when it comes to like that aspect?
Okay. All
Thank
right.
you very
Thank you
much.
for your question. Thank you for your question, Quadri. I believe that's your name has that's what your display says. So, your question is apt. It's a good question. And I think you are right in one sense that PTDF is actually kind of restrictive in the sense that the studies they expect you to go for has to be oil and gas related. But in your case, having a background of industrial chemistry, I don't think it restricts you at all because industrial chemistry is still related. There are applications for industrial chemistry in oil and gas. So if you want to go for an MSc along those lines, still all you just need to do is because the SOP even focuses more on what you want to do, not what you have done, because it's more about what you want to do. So all you need to focus on is focus on the program that you want to study. If it's still industrial chemistry, then you can talk about industrial chemistry, talk about how it is related to oil and gas. To make that link, you can easily talk to people, maybe some of your professors, or you could easily you could easily do some research online to come up with some talking points. So all you just need to do is just show that link between what you want to study and the PTDF mandate of creating local capacity for oil and gas. And I believe you are good to go. You don't necessarily have to be an engineer to show that link. You just need to show that what you want to study is related to the oil and gas industry and can make so and so contribution. So for industrial chemistry, for example, an example I can give you off the top of my head is you could look at how the different chemicals are used in oil and gas. You could look at maybe the synthesis of them or the manufacturing. So that's something you could even go into. So
Yeah, thank you
that's the
very
way
much.
so that's the way you can link your studies to the PTDF mandate and make your SOP speak for you.
Well understood. Thank you very much. Thank you.
All right, you are welcome, Kodri.
Thank you. I have a question.
Okay, Alao, go ahead, please.
Thank you, Zakariyah, for your presentation. My
You are
question
welcome.
is about the selection of the courses. Can we choose a
Yes.
particular course for the three options? And can we choose a particular country for the three options? And if we want to write our SOP, how are we going to tailor it? Are we going to tailor it to the same course, or if we choose different courses, for instance, are we going to write our SOP that we tailor the three courses we choose? I don't think you get that question.
I understand your question clearly. So I think you asked about three questions. I'll try to remember all of them. So uh, your first question, can you choose the same course for all your three choices? The answer is yes, you can do that. And also, can you choose uh, universities from the same country for your three choices? The answer to that is also yes, you can do that. Then for your last, I think your third or fourth question, I think I've kind of lost count here.
SOP
Uh,
and SOP.
SOP.
We
No,
want to write
I
our
remember it.
SOP.
I'm just not sure if it's the third or the fourth question. So for the SOP, right? I think my advice for the SOP is tailor your SOP to the course that you've chosen, and then if possible you can tailor it to the schools you've also chosen. Because for example, using myself as an example, I chose the reservoir geoscience and engineering course. That was my first choice. I had some other schools, but it was mainly reservoir engineering that I had as a course. So I just mainly had to speak about reservoir geoscience and engineering. Then I also had to speak about the school that I had chosen, the IFP school. Why did I go for that school? And it was because of how regarded the school is in the industry, the track record they had of training professional engineers for oil and gas industry. So to answer your question, yes, you can actually talk about the courses you've chosen and the schools you've chosen in your SOP. I don't know if that clarifies it or if you need me to explain further.
Thank you. I get you.
All right, you're
Thanks.
welcome, Alan. Do you have any further questions, guys?
Yeah, thank you very much, Zakaria. Please, the question is, if, for example, you were a beneficiary of the PTDF during your undergraduate, and probably because of the way they pay, and they've not completed your payments, like
Okay.
a scholar that was a scholar during his undergraduate and after NYSC, he still has the payment left to be paid. And do you advise such a person to proceed further to applying, or would you say, like, won't it affect each other? Because it seems the person cannot apply from the portal of his undergraduate, because it seems they are connected somehow. I'm not sure if you got my question.
Okay. I think I think Habib, could you mute? All right, thank you, Habib. So I don't know much about the PTDF undergraduate scholarship, but what I can tell you is this: the scholarships don't affect each other. The only thing you can't do is reapply for the same scholarship on the same level. Like in my case, for example, I already have a master's scholarship. I can't reapply for another PTDF master's scholarship. I can only go higher to PhD level. So for your friend, I would advise him that even though he had a negative experience in that some of his undergraduate entitlements were not paid, I would still advise him to go to the PTDF portal, create an account, and still apply for the master scholarship. Because for France in particular, the scholars in UK have a different experience because their payments. I don't want to go into that, but I can tell you that for France, throughout my time that I was there, for example, not once but our stipend delayed. It was always paid on time, and our stipend was paid like in the first few days of a new month. For example, the money I would spend in October would be paid between like maybe the first few days of October, like from day 1 to day 5. So for your friend, I would tell him to ignore the negative experience that he has had before and go ahead and apply for the PTDF master scholarship or PhD scholarship as the case may be. So he should just ignore that negative experience, let bygones be bygones, and he should press forward. So that's what I would advise your friend to do.
Thank you.
You are welcome, Habib.
Oh, I think I can ask a second one. The second one is
Okay. Yes.
because it's been PTDF, we all know it's the federal government thing, and the question is, do they consider probably state of origin or state of residence or stuff like that? Like, what are the criteria for? Well, I joined late. Maybe you have mentioned. I wouldn't know
Mm,
if you have mentioned this. So I just
okay.
want to know. I want to be sure. Do they consider the residence or one's origin or stuff like that?
Yes. Okay. Thank you, Habib, for your question. Yes, they do not consider the state of residence, but however, state of origin is considered because the scholarship is only given to the scholarship is you know how our federal government does these things. What they
Yeah,
do is
yes,
there's a
federal
quota
character.
basis. So each state, like my year, for example, each state got five uh five candidates. Then I think some other states, like maybe the South states, even got some extra number of candidates. But me, I'm from Kwara State, for example, which is a non-oil producing state. And Kwara State, for example, we had 5 slots. We were given 5 slots during my time. So it was myself and 4 other scholars from Kwara State who received the scholarship from Kwara State. So yes, state of origin actually plays a role in the PTDF scholarship award. Then I think also one of the key documents, which I actually even forgot to mention in as part of my requirements, is your certificate of indigenship is part of what you need to upload, or a letter from your local government. Either one can serve the purpose, but you need to actually prove that you are from so state as you may claim.
Like, did you mean 5 persons from the state for France, for 5 persons for Germany, 5 persons for, or 5 persons altogether, regardless of the country you select?
What I mean is 5 persons for either Germany, France, or Malaysia.
Wow.
Yes, so there's a bit of a competition there, but it's doable. It's very much doable.
All right. Thank you, Jazakumullah. Thank you.
Welcome, Habib. You're welcome. So, any
So
any
please,
any other questions, guys?
please speak
Yes,
up if you
good
yeah. Okay, okay.
afternoon.
Yeah.
Good
Good,
Sorry.
good afternoon.
Please, I would like to ask Mr. Zakaria if there is age limit for the PTDF scholarship.
Okay. I think going through these years, because I just went through the list of requirements yesterday and I didn't see an age limit. In some year, for some years, it used to be, I think, 35 for
For
MSc and
MSc. I read
uh,
for this year it was 35. It is there, 35
okay,
years.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay,
35 for
35 years,
masters.
right?
35 years,
Okay,
right?
For
Okay.
masters, 35 years. I saw
yes.
that.
So
Yes. So
Habib has actually
Habib,
given us an answer. So for MSc, I guess the age limit is 35 years, while for PhD is about 40 or 45. I'm not so sure about that. I saw some questions pop up from the chat box. So, Ademola, could you help me read out those so I could answer?
Yeah.
okay, there's
So
one
yeah. We don't know if other people still have some questions. Personally, I have a question that I would like to ask. So the question
Okay.
is, now during the application process, we will be filling
Yes.
some schools against the courses we intend to study. What if
Yeah.
in a case whereby at the end of the day, I secured an admission outside my three choices? You get what I mean? And even it could even be into a different department, but it's still
Yes.
related to the oil and gas. So what if
Yes.
I later on submit this? But of course, the schools might also be as a part of the like accredited schools with
Yes.
PTDF. So
Yes.
will I be offered the scholarship in this type of scenario? Yeah.
Yes, yes. In this scenario, you would be offered the scholarship. It's still, as long as the school you are admitted to is a partner school for PTDF, you would still, your scholarship is still valid. And I've even heard of cases. I've not met anyone directly, which I'm saying I've heard of. I've heard of cases where scholars have actually been able to get admission from schools that were not even on the list of partner schools, but they made their case to PTDF and then their studies were funded. I've not met anyone physically who did that, but I've heard of cases, about two, three cases of scholars that did that. So for your
All right.
question, yes, even if your admission or your even if your admission is not from the list, is not on the list you submitted in terms of schools or courses, it is still valid. But the easier scenario is if those courses and the school is still on the PTDF accredited list. But even when
Yeah.
it's not, there's still a good chance that your studies will be funded as long as it's in one of the partner countries that they mentioned. Like I know for Germany, for example, while I was reading on the site yesterday, there was no limits given. So on any public institution in Germany is fair game.
All right. So now I will read. So if you still have questions in the amongst the participants, don't hesitate to unmute yourself. So, but before that, I will read out some of the questions we have in the chat. So the first question is this PTDF offers opportunities for just masters or both MSc and PhD? Please explain more on it.
Okay. All right, I'll just talk a bit. I personally, okay, to answer the question, yes, the scholarship is for both MSc and PhD. There's the MSc scholarship and there's the PhD scholarship. But what is different is the PhD is more rigorous. Because in the MSc scholarship, for example, what you are submitting is a statement of purpose of about 500 words. While in the PhD, you have to submit a research plan or a research proposal of about 5 pages maximum. So those are just the key difference. For the person who asked the question, I would advise you to go to the PTDF's site, scholarship.ptdf.gov.ng, or you could easily just do a Google search, PTDF scholarship, and on the list on the website you would see the list of requirements there. So that would give you more information on what uh, on what the requirements are for each of the scholarships.
All right. So for the second question, the person asked, how can someone that studied Greek related courses find their way through the scholarship since it's majorly focused on oil and gas sector?
Okay. All right, it's a good question, and it's a bit tough as well. So for someone who studied agric related courses, it's going to be tough. Actually, it's going to be tough. But the tough part of it is actually making that connection to the oil and gas industry. So for the person who studied agric related courses, what you would need to do then is look for that link. How do you connect your agric, let's say it's agricultural engineering, for example. How do you connect that agricultural engineering you have studied to oil and gas related courses? So one of the things that you could use or you could help you with is maybe uh, when you are picking the course you want to do for masters or for your intended course of study, you pick an oil and gas related course, and then you now see how you can make the link between the agric related course and then the master's course in oil and gas related studies. So that would be my answer to that. It is possible, but it would be difficult, if I'm not going to lie to you. But it is quite very much possible. You just have to find an application for agric engineering in oil and gas. Once you make that link and you explain further on how you are going to make that impact through your studies, you should stand a good chance of getting the scholarship. Because the main thing I've learned about scholarships is all about how well you can tell your story. I don't know how well you can sell yourself. So you sell yourself well and you stand a good chance of getting the scholarship.
Yeah, so there is another question that reads, as a person that study accounting, is evidence in any professional association required, just like for engineering students belonging to NSC? Can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear
Oh,
you. I can hear you. You did not. So proof of a professional association, it is not compulsory, but it is recommended, because there are some points that are awarded for that as well. So if you belong to any professional bodies, you can use that to sell yourself and sell your application. So it is not compulsory, but it is required. It is not required per se. It is recommended if you have such professional body to speak of, or you have it on your application.
so all right. So if you have any question to ask, don't hesitate to unmute yourself and ask the question.
Yes, I have a question.
Okay.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Okay, so my question is, can someone that studied economics apply for this scholarship? Because I intended to do a master's degree in energy economics, so I was
Yes.
trying to find a relationship between that and the oil and gas sector. So can I apply? That's one question. And another
Yes.
question is, can I find schools in France that I can study in English. In English, that is, I don't have to learn French before I can study. Can I find schools like that in France? And also, what's this? Because I understand that some students that go to the UK, they are allowed to work maybe like 20 hours in a week. So scholars that go to France, are they also allowed to work part time while they are studying in France? So these are some of the questions that I have. I don't know if you could do justice to it.
All right. Thank you for your question, Evans. So for your first question, yes, someone can study economics can easily apply for the petroleum and for the PTDF scholarship. And in your case, since your intended course of study is energy economics, it just easily sells itself. You are basically just applying economics to the oil and gas sector. So it's a straight sell. It's not difficult at all. So yes, for someone that studied economics with your background, you can apply for the PTDF scholarship. Then also to your second question, are there schools in France that teach in English? Yes, there are schools in France that teach in English. You just have to find the right ones actually. Like the school I went to, IFP school, for example, it's a school that has courses both in English and French, but the program I studied was in English. And as a personal recommendation to you, I would advise you to check out the energy, technology, and economics management uh, program at IFP school. It is a very good program for somebody who wants to study energy economics. And they also do a dual degree with some other institutions like the University of Dundee. So it's something you could consider.
Please kindly come again. You said energy technology and what?
So I think the acronym is ETEM.
Okay.
ETEM. So I think it's Energy, Technology, and Economics Management.
Okay.
Yeah, or Economics, Technology, and Energy Management. I've forgotten what the exact acronym is, but it's a very good program that exposes you to a lot in terms of the energy industry. So you
Okay.
can check it out at IFP school in France.
Okay. Okay.
Yes, there was another question you asked that I've not gotten to. I can't quite remember it at
The
the
question
moment.
was can you be allowed to work part time while studying?
Okay, working part time. So I think it's not one of the terms of the scholarship for PTDF scholars is you are not allowed to work because they want you to focus on your studies.
Okay.
So I believe the answer to that is no. And
Okay.
like I mentioned earlier during my presentation, the stipend you actually get is enough to cover your living expenses. So the need to really work is actually not going to be there, except if you are just someone who wants to make some extra cash. But like I said, the stipend should cover you for your living expenses and other expenses that you would have.
Okay, and then please one last question. Between France and Germany, which would you advise someone to choose in terms of maybe the economies and stuff like that, job opportunities as well after studies
Mm,
between
I
France and
can't.
Germany?
I can't. Okay, what I can give you as an answer is this: in terms of getting the admission, I think France is easier because the thing about Germany is you have to also satisfy DAAD. They call it DAAD. So you have to satisfy both that requirements and then PTDF requirements for Germany. While for France, you just have to meet up with the PTDF requirements and then get your admission. Then in terms of job opportunities, I believe both countries have good job opportunities. But speaking from a personal example, from my own experience in France, it's important that you have some level of mastery of the French language if you want to work in their workforce. Except if you're going to be working in an international company where the language of communication is English. But even when the language of communication is English, you still need a mastery or a good level of French for rapporting with colleagues and things like that. I don't really know much about the job opportunities in Germany, so I can't speak to that.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah,
All
maybe
right, you're
just a little,
welcome.
maybe just a little thing. Like, of course, if you are a
Yes,
scholar, it's very easy for you to get the visa to any country. It's quite easy. But for France,
exactly.
applying for visa for France, for me, from my experience, I think it's like the easiest country you can apply for a visa and you'll be granted very fast. Like, I'm talking about maybe in 3 days or 4 days, you will receive your
Yes.
visa. So I think, yeah.
Yes, I received my visa in 3 days. So you are spot on with that. The admission process is not difficult. The requirements are easier, and then the visa too I guess is easier. So France is really a good choice.
Okay, thank you. Please, how many years is the postgraduate visa for France? For example, in the UK for masters is 2, for PhD is 3. I don't know how many years of postgraduate can students allowed to work after their graduation.
Oh, oh, Ademola, I think you have more knowledge in this area, so I would let you answer the question because you have more experience in that area than I do.
Yeah, so basically you have 1 year. After you finish your master's, you'll be given 1 year visa to search for job. But I think for most people, like people I know, haven't used this 1 year visa waiting because you will always like try most job that people find are PhD opportunity. Like they just go directly from master's to PhD. So I think most people I know, once they finish their masters, they get like a PhD opportunity to continue up to the PhD level. So, but if you're like very interested in applying for a job, because I also have like a guy from Nigeria, he studied nuclear engineering and he doesn't wanted to do a PhD. So he he applied for that 1 year visa, and he used the whole 1 year to search for job in France. And at the end, he got a job. So yeah, and he's still currently in France. So I think for UK 2 years, for France, just 1 year.
Like, are you saying even after PhD, yeah, you'll be given just 1 year for post study?
Yeah, like normally people I know they don't use this, because I don't think people pray to use this like 1 year you start to find job. But one thing I know is that while still on your current visa, you are still going to secure like an opportunity that will require you not to use these post-study opportunities, because I think it's not. I don't think it's like a very good thing to use it, because it's like you were unable to find a job. So yeah. So I think people don't really think about using this type of visa. Yeah.
Um, uh, Sorry, I have this question. Thank you for the session. So, like, I commend your efforts, Sir Ademola and Sir Zakariyah. So, I graduated in the Department of Educational Technology. So, I don't know if there's any opportunity at all for the application. So, I don't know, because I've seen some people that are asking same kind of question, that they study a different course other than the engineering courses. So, I don't know if there's, or I shouldn't bother myself to apply.
Okay. I think I think I already answered a similar question from the person who studied agric engineering. You said education technology. Uh, like I like to think anything is possible actually. So I think it would be best not to rule yourself out. So what you just have to do is just try and find that link to oil and gas. So you can find a master's. I don't know, maybe in a science based course or something, maybe like chemistry or physics. I don't know. I really don't have many ideas to give you at this point in time. But I will just encourage you not to give up before even applying. Just try to good find some good schools and find some courses that maybe align with what you want in terms of what your objectives are. And then once you find that, you now have to make that connection with oil and gas in your SOP. So that would be your selling point, really. Like, for example, when one of my friends who studied pharmacy was asking how he could apply for PTDF, I was saying he just has to say he wants to work in the medical aspects of oil and gas, for example, because some of these oil and gas companies have clinics. So he would say he wants to work in an oil and gas related uh, medical facility, or work offshore, for example, on a rig where he provides medical facilities or medical services to workers. So that's just something. It's just about making that link to oil and gas. Abdul Wahab, I hope
Yeah.
that answers the
So
question.
Yes,
yes.
yes, that has
Yeah, I think Ademola wants to add something, so let me just allow him do that.
I don't have anything to add. I just want to read out another question. So there is
Okay.
a question in the chat. So the person is saying, um, my question is, will it be stated in the university application that the funding source is PTDF, even when the funding hasn't been awarded? I think this person joined late when you were explaining the scholarship application and the school
Okay.
application.
Yeah. Okay. Yes, because some schools want you to have your, how do I put it? Some schools want to know how you intend to fund your program. Quadri, could you mute, please? Okay.
Just
Ademola, I
just
don't know, is there a way you could
Mute
mute
yourself
Quadri?
now.
All right. Thank you very much. Okay, so going back to the question, yes, some schools want you to specify what your means of application is, in terms of, sorry, what your means of funding would be. Like when I was applying for my school, for example, one of the questions they asked me was, if I receive the admission, how do I intend to fund my studies? And I told them that, well, I've already applied for PTDF, and PTDF will most likely fund my studies if I win the scholarship. So that's just how it is. So it depends on the school. Some schools want to know upfront what your source of funding is. Some school doesn't. Some schools don't want to know. So if the school wants to know, you just tell them you've applied for PTDF scholarship and you are still waiting for the feedback. And since most of these schools that you'll be applying to anyway are schools that are that are partners of PTDF, they know what PTDF is. So they have a fair idea of what you are saying when you say that you've applied for PTDF and you are just waiting for the results to come out.
All right, thank you. So I think we have like a maximum of 5 to 10 minutes more to end this space. So if you have another question to ask, please don't hesitate to unmute yourself.
Sorry, before we wrap it up, I don't have a question. I just need do we have any beneficiary of PTDF, like undergrad? I need to connect with the person.
I am a beneficiary of undergraduates.
Okay,
Undergraduate. Oh, okay.
I'll reach out to you.
Okay.
All right.
So also to add, I think we'll be very happy if somebody knows someone who received the PTDF scholarship to the UK. So don't hesitate to suggest the person to the group. Oh, I think I have another question. Is it possible to apply to both the UK and to other countries? Like I can just apply to many countries. Is it possible, or just one selection? I think you are muted.
Oh, sorry about that. I didn't know I was muted. To give a short answer, the answer is no. So if you're applying to UK, the portal will only allow you select schools in UK. Then if you're applying to Germany, France, and Malaysia, the portal will allow you select schools in Germany, France, and Malaysia. So that's how it is.
All right.
Although
Okay.
I've heard there are people, I don't know, I just like to give the background. I've heard there are people who are able to work around that, but it's something very difficult and I would not advise it actually.
All right. So yes. So it means you either pick one, either the UK or
Yes,
other countries.
either
Yeah.
UK or you pick the other, Germany, France, and Malaysia.
All right. So anyway, if you are not interested in these European countries, or you really want to go to the UK, so in case you have scholars who receive this scholarship, don't hesitate to suggest the person on the group. Are there accredited courses to choose for each school?
Yes. The answer to that is yes.
Yes. Okay. So yeah. So if we have like 3 more minutes. If you have any question to ask, don't hesitate to speak up. So, yeah.
To the person who said he studied education technology, I think one of the things I would just advise him to do is he can go to the PTDF website. When he creates his profile, he can look through the list of courses that are available and see which one best fits what his background is, and then use that as a way to start his application. So that's also another way he can look at it.
Right. Thank you so much. So I think this will be where we draw the curtain. Thank you so much to the attendees and to the guest lecturer. Thank you so much for honoring the fast call. Yeah, so thank you so much. So I'm wishing you guys all the best in your application. So have a nice evening.
Just one more thing before I go. The sample list of questions that I mentioned earlier, I would just drop that in. I'll just drop that in the group in the scholarship news group chat later.
Okay. Yeah.
So, like I said, it's an unofficial document, but based on my experience, those are likely questions that could be asked in the interview.
Okay. Okay. So yeah, thank you so much again, and see you guys very soon.
All right. Thank you very much for your time.